Welcome to the channel, everyone. I am Vinny Himes, your host, and this is Review Diesel. We review diesel parts to hopefully help you avoid making a bad purchase that you're going to regret. There's a lot of really great diesel parts out there on the internet, and there's a lot of really bad diesel parts out there on the internet, and we've experienced both. A little history on myself. I started out playing around with diesel trucks when I was in high school. I worked for a log home company and a timber frame home company in Montana that had a fleet of 7.3 Powerstrokes. And one of the owners there, he liked to hot rod his stuff and soup it up. And so it fell on my shoulders as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid. And unfortunately, I learned the hard way that there are good and bad diesel parts. I purchased a cold air intake for his truck, and this was many years ago, 2002, 2003-ish, and put a cold air intake on his truck. And a couple years later, the rubberized boots that hold the sections of the air intake together started to dry rot, and some of those chunks of dry rotted rubber got sucked into his turbo. He wasn't super stoked about it, and I wasn't either, because I kind of went out of my way to purchase it for him and did some research and thought it was a good company, thought it was a great brand. Turned out not to be. So through experiences like that over the years, the Review Diesel idea came about. This was an idea that we had back in 2011, a couple of buddies and I, and we built a Facebook page and we started doing it. And then I got hired by another company and got busy, and just this kind of fell back by the wayside. But here we are, 2024. COVID's just happened. YouTube's the big thing now. We should have jumped on this in 2011. We'd be millionaires now, but we aren't. So we're doing Review Diesel parts in my basement. And as this channel builds and as we begin to make money doing this, you'll see this background. We'll get a studio built out. It's going to be fun. We look forward to you guys watching us grow and get better at this, because we are a professional on camera. I'm a diesel technician turned sales manager turned service writer. So I've kind of worked in every aspect of the diesel industry, from installing these parts myself to selling these parts in mass quantities when I worked at Alligator Performance. And then the last decade, I've been at Leadfoot Diesel, still selling these parts, but dealing firsthand with the technician and the customers. So that's where these reviews are going to be different than what you're going to see from a lot of other parts reviews out there. Mine don't get to be biased, because I've had to listen to the technicians cuss me out when I sell a bad part, and I've had to listen to the customers cuss me out when I sell a bad part, and I don't like getting cussed out. So this channel is only going to focus on the parts that I've had good experiences with. We're not going to bash anybody's products. We're not going to make fun of anybody's products. I will not name names when I am discussing a product I have parts with or problems with. But S&B, the owner of S&B, is probably one of the best human beings on the planet. He's just a good person. Follow him and his family very closely on social media. I've known him for many years. I've seen their business practices. I've seen their morals and their values and their ethics be tested. And he's just a great guy. And they manufacture a wonderful product. So I represent S&B extremely well, because they make an extremely great product. Their air intakes are top of the line. They're easy to install. Having been a technician that was installing these things in the shop, I appreciate them, because you can sell an hour of labor on it, get it done in 20-30 minutes. They just made it so easy. So it's a good product from a technician's standpoint, especially if you're a technician that's getting paid ticket time, or if you're a service writer. You know, this is just a really easy product to sell, and it does nothing but good for the vehicle. We recently did a video on my 05 Harley-Davidson Edition F350, and we loaded an 80 horse Fickum tune from Power Hungry Performance on the truck. And I can tell, just from driving tons of trucks over the years and modifying them, I could tell the truck was struggling for air. We wanted to do an install video on it really bad rather than an unboxing video. And my 16-year-old decided to wreck my truck. So here we are doing a unboxing video while my truck gets fixed. And when we get the truck back, we'll still do that install video for you, just to show you guys how easy these S&B air intakes are to install. But the main thing is I want you to see the components that are in the box. I want you to see the quality that S&B is putting into these things. There really is no other air intake on the market that I recommend. You're not going to do better than this. They've thought of everything. They've addressed every issue that I've ever encountered with any other air intake. The biggest thing I like about it, and the number one thing you guys are going to see on the internet, Facebook groups, different forums where people are discussing parts, is the never-ending battle of the big-ass air filter under the hood or an air filter that's in an enclosed box with a scoop pulling in cold air from outside. You're always going to get better performance from an enclosed box pulling cold air from outside of the engine bay. I don't care what your diesel mechanic said. I don't care what tests you did. That's simply how an engine works. Colder, denser air results in more horsepower and better efficiency of the engine. So pulling cold air from outside the engine compartment into an enclosed box with a very good quality air filter is going to make more horsepower, more torque, and better fuel economy than a big honking air filter clamped onto a pipe under your hood. That's just never going to be efficient. If you want it to look cool, buy that. They're out there. S&B is even starting to offer some of those just because that's a portion of the market that you can't school or educate. So why lose sales because people don't want to use the noodle between their ears? And so if you want a big honking air filter under the hood and you think that looks cool, S&B has catered to that for you. But as far as quality goes, you're not going to beat S&B. So if you want the big honking air filter, go with that option. I don't recommend it. It's not efficient. It's not scientifically, it doesn't work. But it's there for you. So let's see what's in the box. So kind of S&B's signature, and I'm not gonna peel this apart or open this all up right now, but we will when we do our install video, is this is their see-through polymer lid that covers up the air filter box. And the reason I like this design is there's a lot of other air intake companies that have a lid that encloses the air filter, but it's solid or diamond plate or something that you can't see through. And so your air filter gets neglected until you inevitably suck it through the turbo because it's so restricted, or it collapses or falls apart or what have you. S&B allows you to see that filter through this polymer lid, and you'll know when to change it because your air filter should look red or white depending on if you go with the oiled or dry. I only recommend the oiled. They work very well in every environment. The dry works good on the highway if you're never going off-road. I come from a logging background and I've seen those cotton filters. You can change them out, run your finger around the inside of that pipe, and you'll just have this really fine dust. So for that reason, I only recommend oiled filters. These are the infamous silicone couplers that I explained. This is the number one reason I recommend these air intakes over everybody else's. This is not rubber. This will never dry rot. You could install this thing tomorrow and assess it again in 5 years. It may be dirty, but it will still be shiny and black on the inside. It will not be dry rotted and cracked at all. It doesn't wear out like rubber does in a hot engine bay. Here is the air intake box. This is the scoop that pulls air from behind your headlight and not from your engine bay. The filter element is in here. So we will tear into all that when we do our install video. Here are more rubber couplers. This is the pipe that actually goes to the front of the turbo, attaches to the back of the box right here on this end. Map sensor goes in here. They have really nice gaskets, so no leaks. They do give you the option, if you don't want to run the polymer lid, this gasket can go on top of the box and it will seal to the bottom of your hood and give you a nice tight, so you're not pulling hot air around the top. That is an option. I'm going to run the polymer lid when I install it. Little mid pipe where your CCV vent goes into. That brings up another thing. A lot of guys want to vent their CCV to atmosphere like a Cummins does. I do not recommend doing that. What you're going to notice, every customer that's ever brought a truck into the shop and said, hey, I want to run the vent to atmosphere, 2-3 weeks, a month later, they come back. It smells like rotten eggs. There's oil all over my frame. It's dripping off the bottom of the truck. It's harming absolutely nothing venting into your air intake. Some people say they get rid of it because it gets oil on the intercooler boots. That doesn't hurt anything. The factory intercooler boots are rubberized, so you may notice them deteriorating from engine oil getting on them. Swap out to a good aftermarket intercooler boot. Mishimoto makes a great set. BD Diesel makes a really great set, and Banks makes a great set. So there's great options out there if you want to run silicone intercooler boots. S&B actually has a cold side intercooler pipe for the 6 liter that comes with a really nice elbow. I will purchase one of those and do an unboxing and install video on that for you because it's another great product that replaces the factory intercooler pipe. So we'll have a video on that for you. But yeah, just keep your crankcase vented into the air intake. It's not hurting anything. It actually helps seal the piston rings, and so you don't end up getting as much blow by. You're going to get longer engine life keeping that in there. So some aftermarket upgrades are great. Other aftermarket upgrades, not so much. And a CCB reroute is just not a great aftermarket upgrade. Leave it the way it was designed from the factory. Ford engineers knew what they were doing there. Keeps the engine bay nice and clean, no oily mess. Upgrade your intercooler boots if that's what you're really worried about. But as far as what's in the box, that's pretty much it. We got some clamps here, rubber gasket for the back of the air intake where the pipe goes in. Once again, really good quality clamps. Everything that S&B puts in here is really good quality. You don't need to go with any other brand. And once I get my wrecked truck back, we'll do an install video for you guys and let you see and hear how this thing performs. You will common questions I get asked, how can I make my turbo whistle louder? It's a great option. The factory air filter is super restrictive, and people don't realize how restrictive they are. So go into an 8-layer cotton gauze filter from S&B, frees up that restriction. You're going to hear that turbo whistle a lot more. You're going to notice better throttle response. If you're hand calculating fuel economy, you will notice an increase. You cannot do this upgrade and not increase fuel economy. I've had customers over the years, oh, I wasted my money. I purchased that thing that you said I needed and my fuel economy didn't change. Well, then there's something else wrong with your truck. Because if you allow more air into and more air out of the engine, it has to be more efficient. It doesn't have a choice. That's science. So if you put a S&B Cold Air Intake on your truck, this particular one's for a 6-liter Powerstroke. I recommend S&B for all diesel trucks, Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. I don't play favorites. I don't care what you drive. I'm glad you like it. It's your truck. I hope you love it. But put an S&B air intake on it. Absolutely a must. Great upgrade. Super easy to clean. Your factory air filters are $69 to $80 depending on Ford, Chevy, Dodge. So this is a lifetime filter. This is the last air filter you will ever buy unless you just want to buy another one. I ran my 5.9 Cummins for 225,000 miles with one of these filters. I cleaned it whenever it looked dirty. I had that air intake for 7 years. I would still own it today if I hadn't totaled that truck out in Idaho elk hunting. So grab yourself an S&B, hit us up in the comments below if you got any questions before you make a purchase. I don't want you to buy anything on my recommendation. If you still have questions, I want to get those questions answered. So hit us up in the comments below with questions that you may have. We will get them answered for you as fast as we possibly can. Happy shopping.